Okay, this is an introduction to the MongoSluice application. This is a bidirectional data import-export tool which will allow you to stream data between MongoDB and a relational database. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the options for running a MongoSluice job. MongoSluice is a single job that will need to run on a box that has access to a MongoDB instance and a relational database instance. So I'm going to run the help command. Okay. So as you can see, we have the help parameter, and then we have a series of job parameters. So we have the first required parameter is a MongoDB name. This is the name of the MongoDB database that you're going to connect to. Next we have a Mongo collection. This is the Mongo collection that is part of the Mongo database that you are going to connect to and stream data to or from. Now we get to the actual commands for running a job. So we have push to SQL. This is going to push data from MongoDB to a relational database. So here are the parameters, the optional parameters that we can use when we're pushing data to a relational store. So we have a Mongo filter, and this is simply a command line. This is a JSON expression that we can use to filter out documents that we don't want in our database tables. Resize column strings. So what this will do is this will take any text fields that we generate during the building of the database schema, and we will resize those. We'll basically alter those from a unbounded text data type to a bounded varchar data type. Next we have apply relational integrity. This basically will look at the one-to-many and one-to-one relationships existing in the Mongo document collection, and it will, when it builds out the schema of relational database tables, it will actually apply primary foreign key relationships between the tables when we're streaming the data. Next we have commit size. Commit size is the amount of documents that we will loop through before we will commit those all of those records to a SQL database. So basically, for example, every 500 documents, we will do a commit and process the transaction and persist it to the relational database. And last, we have varchar padding size. So basically, if we want to pad the size of our varchar fields once we've completed streaming the data, we can set, for instance, if the max size of a varchar field is 50, but we want to give it a little more room, then we can say, it's varchar 50 and then add another 20. So that gives us, that would be 70. So we would get all varchars would be padded to 70 characters. So if we go through these, Mongo filter, this is a JSON expression that just as if you would type it to filter a Mongo collection on in the Mongo shell. Resize column string. Resize string columns, this is just simply a Boolean. Apply relational integrity is a Boolean as well. Commit size is an integer, and varchar padding size is also an integer. So that's all of the optional parameters that you can use when you're pushing data from MongoDB to a relational database. So let's look at the pushing data from SQL into a NoSQL database. So what this will do is it will take in a query, it will loop through the results of that query, and then it will basically take every row returned from the query and convert that to a document. So first we have a SQL query. So this is the SQL select query that will execute and export the data to Mongo. Export primary keys as indexes. So you have an option here to take your primary keys in your relational database and export those as indexes that can exist in the Mongo database. We have truncate collection. Truncate collection will basically truncate an existing collection prior to the export running. So we basically will clear the collection before we push data into it. And then we have insert duplicates. So insert duplicates is telling the system, if you have a duplicate row that you find in Mongo, do not add that to the database table that we're populating data with. And delete orphaned IDs. So what this will do is, basically after an export to Mongo is complete, this will delete any rows in Mongo not created by the export. So if you have existing data in the table and you run your query and you have IDs that already exist that weren't in the query that you were pushing the data for, those records would then be deleted. Okay? So this is all of the options that we have when we run a MongoSluice job. So let's actually look at a few jobs.